Hi everyone. Today we will be doing the rock paper scissors challenge, as some of you who have been having troubles with that. Today, yeah, in this video we are going to do, do the rock paper scissors challenge. And this file will be shared to you. It has some comments on how to do this, and has various steps. As you can see, we have this example in front of us. It has the conditional statements, and it has the yeah, and has three URL variables, which so the winner banner looks like this. Is the try again one looks like this. And the tie URL looks like this. It's a tie. There's not many tie pictures out there, okay? And in this example, there's also the in the conditional statements, you can see that we use the variables above to print the certain images over here. So instead of typing the entire link, we just did the variables. And we so there's the if, elif, and else. And the else is a very rare one since we are printing random numbers. So, basically in this example, whoever it like has the numbers, and then the computer prints a certain image according to the whatever is happening in our code. Okay. So so you can see that here we have our score, my score, which is randomized between a number from 0 to 10, and computer score, which is also randomized from 0 to 10. And we're asking the computer to print both our score and the computer score. And in the if statement, it specifically requires that the success URL only prints if my score is greater than computer score. If it's less than, if computer score is greater than my score, it prints the try again URL. And if it's tie, which is very rare, it prints the tie URL. It with it prints this one over here. So as you can see, these are the functions in our code. As you can see in this code, there's two print statements, but let's see if this code actually it works. So if we scroll down, we can see that our score was 10 and computer score was 4. Since 10 is greater than 4, it printed the winner one. Now let's see it again. So it's loading. Kind of hate when it loads. Okay, so now it's printed again since it's randomized. Ours is now 2 and the computer's is 9. Since 9 is greater than 2, we lost, so it printed the sorry, please try again image. And now let's run it one more time. Ooh, this time it randomized it again, and our score was 8 and the computer score was 1. So it printed the winner image. Good job, us. So now let's actually go to the real challenge. As some of you might know, it's rock, paper, scissors, showdown. So most of you have probably played rock, paper, scissors with your siblings, but let's take a look at the code from my perspective. So let's take a look at the challenge from my perspective. So many of you have probably played it with your siblings or your friends, and me and my sister, or we play it to settle a lot of things like who sleeps first, who wakes up first, who gets candy, and we don't do it one time. We do it best of three. So, that's the amount of trials. Because we played three times. But what if we're playing against a computer or a robot? Well, I don't know what the computer is gonna do, or else I could win every single time. I mean, and and if we played three times and I won twice and computer won once, I would win. And if computer won twice or I won once, I computer would win and I would lose. So, and if computer won once and I won once, it would be a tie. And if computer won 0 times and I won once, I would still win. So how do I win? Well, if the computer chose rock and I chose paper, paper beats rock. Okay, but computer has to choose either rock, paper, or scissors. That's why we have the possible choices of rock, paper, and scissors in our list of possible. So all of you know how rock, paper, scissors works. And we are going to will make us and we are going to play against the computer. So we want the computer to pick either rock, paper, scissors, and we will do that using their index values. Since they're in a list, rock is index value is 0, paper's index value is 1, and scissors index value is 2. So I'm going to write a few lines of code to show you how we are going to access their index values. So first we're going to make a variable called computer choice. Computer choice is going to equal random.randint. As you know, I installed random.randint above because if you don't install it, it won't work. So computer choice is random.random from the index value 0 to 2 because we only have 3 values, and if it's anything higher than 2, it'll show an error because we don't have those. So computer guess is gonna equal to a possible choices, and we're in that if we're gonna have computer's choice in the square brackets, and then we're gonna have a print statement. All of you know what print statements are, and we're gonna print computer's choice. Then in another print statement, we are going to print computer's guess. And now let's see what happens by running it. So as you can see, it shows an error. Why does it show an error? Well, it looks like we have a while loop running here. So let me just comment that, and let's run it again to see what happens. So this time we get no errors, and it says 2 and scissors. Let's run it again, and it says 1, which is paper. Let's see if we can get rock. Come on. There we have rock. It's, as you can see, it's randomized. I actually have no idea what it's gonna guess. So as you can see, if we made the variables and we printed them. So our computer printed the random choices from possible choices of rock, paper, and scissors. So as you know, me and my sister play best of three because it's no fun playing one time. So and since we're playing against a computer, how do we win? Well, as you can see, computer selected raw, and its indent value is 0, and so it printed 0. So if computer selected rock, and I actually should not know what computer selected, so I'm going to comment those out, and if computer selects rock and I select paper, I would win. But if computer selects rock and I select scissors, I would lose. And if computer selected rock and I selected rock, it would be a tie. So 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 we're gonna do it 3 times because it's best of 3 and it's no fun if we only do one. But first, let's comment out the print statements, so I don't know what computer's guess is. So I'm going to quickly comment those out using the hashtag and then so let's actually comment out the computer choice and computer guess because we have the instructions below and won't be needing these. So let's take a look at the instructions. And so the first, also, computers guess and our guess should be in a while loop. Do you know why? Well, it's because as you know we have 3 trials, and and for those 3 trials, and a loop repeats multiple times, and 3 is definitely multiple. Now let's take a look at the instructions. The first one says create a variable called trials and set it to 3 or any number of rounds where you want to play, but let's do 3. So we would say trials and then equals to 3. Not 4, 3. So our variable is trials and we set it to 3. Just like how I created the trials variable, let's take a look at the other instructions. So this one says, create a variable called score and set it to 0. Just like how I created trials, it would be the same way, except instead of trials, it would be score, and instead of 3, it would be 0, because at the start, ours and computers' scores are both going to be 0. Now for the next instruction. Now, it says here to create a variable called tie score and set it to 0. This will track ties. So just as I did for the first 2 above, you would do the same thing. Tie score and then set it to 0. For the next instruction, it says create a variable called t and set it to 0. These instructions are all variables, so you would all do it the same way. And the t that we set to 0 will help you keep track of the current round. It'll help you keep track if you play rock paper scissors and you did 2 rounds and you need to do one more. The 2 will be t. Now for the game loop. It says start the game loop. Use a while loop that continues as long as t is less than trials. Also, and here it says while t is less than trials, it wants us to print and it wants us to print into possible choices or that are randomized, of course. And since I commented that before, I'm not going to comment it now. So I've removed the comment, and here it says to print the possible choices of random.randint. So just like I did above with random.randint, it'll be just like that. Now for step number 5. Computer's guess. Inside the loop, generate a random number between 0 and 2 using random.random, and it would be randomized from 0 and 2. So for the random.random, it would be exactly how I did it before. Er, er, so so it would be exactly how I did it before, and except it would be in a while loop because as because the while loop we are playing it 3 times, and the while loop would continue as long as t was less than trials. So for step number 6, it says ask the player for their choice using input. So for those of you who know, I'm pretty sure all of you know what the input function is. It's where you ask the it's where you ask for the input from like us. That's the code we'll be using in rock paper scissors. So here it says to convert the player's input to lowercase using dot lower. So how we would do that is we would we would first do we would print the input function, and then we would convert the print whatever we printed it to lowercase using dot lower, or because as we would have to because our computer doesn't know capital R or capital rock paper scissors, because in our list we did all lowercase. So if we did a capital, our computer would show it as an error. So for number 7, it says if computer's guess and player's guess are the same, increase tie score by 1. So for that we would use the if function. So like if I selected rock and computer selected rock, we would want the tie score to be by 1, to increase by 1, because this tie score is the amount of times we tied. And here it also says increase t by 1 to move to the next round. So since it says if the computer's guess and player's guess are the same, increase 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 t by 1 to move to the next round. So I accidentally read. So increase t by 1 to move to the next round. So what is t? T is the amount of rounds we've played. So let's say we played our round and we checked if it's a tie or not. Now we're going to increase t by 1 to move to the next round. So for number 8, I showed you the conditional statements above. You can use those as a reference, and if you're still confused, I will email you the answers separately. For number 9, it says print results. After each round, print the computer's guess and player's current score in a nicely formatted way. So for nicely formatted way, it just means to have the indents and those correct. And you need to print the computer's guess and player's score. For number 10, it says final results. After the loop ends, print the final scores of the player and the computer. So basically here it's saying, and after all of this is done, to print the final scores of the player, and the computer. For number 11, it says determine the appropriate image URL based on the final scores. If tie score equals score, use the tie URL. If computer score is greater than the player score, use try again. Otherwise, use success URL. So that basically means if it's a tie, print the tie image. If the computer score is greater than the player score, that means we lost, so use the try again. And if not, and if none of those options, and then we would, and if not, we would use the success URL. So for number 12, it says print the image using Markdown. So for Markdown, so it's basic. So you can see it gives you the code here because I'm pretty sure you don't want to type all that, and I'm pretty sure you don't even know what that is right now. So, no, so basically, so you can use the reference I showed you above, and to do number 12, and so that you can use that, and you can finish number 12, and you can use the image URL. So these are all the steps. After seeing this, you should be able to do the rock, paper, scissors challenge. Thank you for staying with me to the end of the video. And remember, if you have questions, I can email them separately to you later on.